Hi, welcome back to the Black Carnivore channel. If you are new here, we talk about all things to do with a meat-based diet, animal-based food, all that kind of good stuff.
Food,
If
food,
you,
and food. It's what we
yeah,
do.
exactly. Food, getting healthy, losing weight, all of that. So welcome to the channel, and I ask you to please put a thumbs up in the comments box if you're new here, because I definitely want to give you more space to ask questions and get involved. And for our usual suspects, I'm so glad you are here. Let's dive into this fun and interesting conversation. So, but first, I haven't spoken to you all week, Arian. So first, tell me, how are you doing?
I'm good. I Today was a tired day. I'm still back to trying to figure out what's making me a little more tired than normal. I think it's just not going to sleep early enough. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel much better now than I did probably at like 7 this morning. I was not feeling it this morning.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to hear
Like
that.
I went to weaker coffee, so I don't think it's the coffee. I think it's just not going to bed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what time are you going to bed? Like 3, 4 a.m.?
No, just like 11:30.
Uh-huh.
Which to be trying to wake up and be productive at 7 in the morning is not working.
Hmm. Hmm. All right.
I feel like I need
So
more.
so what are you going to do to make that happen?
Just force myself to really what it is get away from this, get off the computer and go really anywhere else in my apartment. It's when I'm sitting upright at a desk at a computer, I think is what keeps me up.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to hold you to that this week. Get
Yeah, I
yourself
need
a
to do it.
book. Yeah, get yourself a book or a drawing pad, something like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've actually got something that uh, I can't wait to read. I just need to just damn do it. That's all.
Yeah, totally. All right. Hey, we got a bunch of people here. So if you could click the like button and, give me a thumbs up if you're new. And I see so many people. ZZ Captain, hey, Chase, Melvina, and Angie Life. That is great to see you. And Esther, thank you for checking in before Bible study. Really appreciate that.
Hmm.
Um, that's quite an honor to fit us in with your spiritual work. So thank you. I appreciate it. So I put out a 1 minute video earlier. I don't know if you all have run into it at any point along the way, but YouTube has a new feature called Shorts where it's, you put in a video with that hashtag and it's less than 1 minute and I don't know, it promotes it in some other way. So there's, people are saying that they're getting all kinds of greater exposure. So hopefully for the next month, I'm going to try to do a short a day. So we'll see. So you heard that I had some really great interviews today, and very excited about that.
And then the one you did either yesterday or the day before was about your like biggest change outside of the diet itself. I
Yeah.
think you said it was getting your mental outlook together.
And that's what got me thinking about today's video. So, I asked the question on the thumbnail, are you a carnivore or are you just on the carnivore diet? And I think that distinction does make a difference in your ability to be able to stick with this diet, this way of eating. I mean, diet
Hmm.
isn't necessarily a bad word. It describes just like what you eat, right? So it's a
Right.
neutral word. For a lot of people, I mean, I would say women especially, but for a lot of people in America, diet is that word conjures up feelings of deprivation, of hunger, of embarrassment, feeling like you stand out. Having no pleasure, austerity, none of those good things. Like, the one benefit it's supposed to bring of health or perhaps weight loss doesn't, none of those words seem to describe it. So,
Right.
yeah.
It has a really bad connotation for a lot of people based on their experience with diets before, to the point
Hmm.
where a lot of people don't even want to use the word diet and they want to say way of eating is what I see a lot in at least the keto and carnivore spaces.
Yeah. Whoa. Which is not a
Yeah.
good word either.
Like, well, on this whoa, you don't have to, or you really need to be careful about whatever. And
Yeah.
like now there's a whole, it feels like jargon, really. Like there's a whole another word that you have to learn when we've known what a diet is our whole lives. We've just let diet get corrupted into something else.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it is important, I think, to, kind of look at how we're looking at a carnivore way of eating. Is this going to be something that we're doing briefly for a short time, or is it something that we want to do long term?
Hmm.
So, in the beginning, when you started, what did you think? Were you going to be doing this long term, or did you just think this was like a stopgap?
I was long term. I from the jump, I think I had already known. Well, in starting carnivore, I was long term. In starting keto and paleo, I was not. It was this is a thing to do, especially paleo. It was like I'll do this, I'll lose weight, and then I'll figure out something that is like this but a little more livable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then when that didn't work, and when I also tried calories in, calories out for a while, like to eat less, move more. So saying that those didn't work, I knew that anything I did had to be a forever thing. Nothing that was good for me was going to stop being good later in my life. That just logically didn't make sense. So yeah, I came into carnivore thinking I'm doing this forever, so I have to find a way
Mm-hmm.
to make this work forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when I first started, I didn't tell people that it was forever.
Mm.
But I knew that the way of eating was it was perfect for me. So I knew that that was going to be my base. And I also assumed that I would cheat and fall off and eat other things, but that would be home base that I would go back to.
Mm.
So it took a long time, though, to get to the point where I knew I didn't want to fall off and cheat anymore, that I just wanted to stick with it.
And yeah, I guess that's a different take on it. If I thinking about it that way, then I was not long term. Like if it was in terms of never cheating, then
Mm-hmm.
no. I don't even think I feel that way. Well, no, I know I don't. I don't feel that way now.
Mm-hmm.
I will eat other things sometimes.
Well, yeah. I mean, so I'm saying in terms of what I thought I was going to do rather than what happens. I
Oh.
mean, I assume that I hope that I'm going to live another 50 years. It's my intention to eat this way for every single meal. But, I don't know. There may be a time when that just, for whatever reason, the circumstances don't allow it.
Hmm.
But my intention is to eat this way for the rest of my life. And that's the choice that I've made.
Yeah.
But I didn't make that choice in the beginning. I still kind of waffled, and I still kind of, I think I still had a keto mindset where I would have cheat days or a cheat meal, or, I knew I would come off and then I would eventually get back on, and I knew I would come back to ketosis, but I might be out of it. And I think that's sort of a different way of thinking. Somehow, I mean, I feel like at a certain point, keto was so radical and so different that people really thought of it as a way of life. But I think now people kind of come in and out of it, and they flow in and out. And so I feel like it's not exactly a way of life anymore. It's kind of a diet, which is okay. But if you have a lot of weight to lose and you're, turning around a disease, like, you can't float in and out of it in the same way that somebody who is younger and healthier can.
Right. Yeah, and that's I guess the place of privilege that I'm in where I can do that. I didn't start with a bunch of issues. I was keto for a long time before carnivore, varying levels of keto, but generally trying to stick to a really low carb diet all the time for just about my entire 20s. So, yeah, I can play around, I think, more than some people
Although
can.
didn't I just hear a story about crippling stomach pain that had you bent over?
Right, right. Yeah, there's definitely a thing as too much playing. And yeah, that sucralose, I think I said on here, I poured that crap out.
Yeah,
Um
all
and
four
didn't look
dollars
back.
of it.
Right. I don't miss it. It's amazing the stuff we put ourselves through.
Yeah,
Like I was like, no, no, I want to have it. I spent
yeah,
this money. And really what that probably was it tastes sweet. It tastes good.
yes,
I don't want to throw this away.
yeah,
And yeah, I'd rather I have just put actual sugar in my coffee because
yeah,
that would have beat up my stomach a lot less.
yeah, yeah. Oh my God, Esther, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. And for everyone who's here, don't forget you can, at the bottom of the chat box, there's a little $sign. You can get super chats, super stickers if you want to support this content and make sure it's free forever for everybody. Thank you. So I see ZZ Captain asked, my question is how to get cholesterol in a carnivore diet. So I'm not sure if you're asking how to get cholesterol. If that is a question, all the food we eat is full of it, so don't worry.
Yeah.
And if your question is how to not get cholesterol on a carnivore diet, can't be done. But we're not concerned about cholesterol in the same way. And if you're in ketosis, your triglycerides are low and your HDL is high, then likely you are, your cholesterol it may be high, but that is okay. Because because of the way that our metabolism operates.
Yep.
So, but you can reframe your question if you like. And Esther says, I use way of eating to say that I choose to eat this way, where a diet was usually something that I was doing and it quickly passed. Yeah, exactly.
And that's I guess that speaks to the whole idea of this live. The whole premise of it is it's like frustrating to me to think about. I guess when people ask me like, "Oh, so you do keto?" and it's like I don't do anything. I
I
eat the
eat.
way, yeah, I eat, and I eat the way that humans should eat, which is very low carb, just about or all the way no grains, no starch, no seed oils, which leaves meat. And you can eat vegetables, but I choose not to because I don't really want to. So I'm a carnivore as opposed to just being what I would call like a really well done keto diet. But like I don't do a thing because do implies like stopping. Do just feels like, oh, I'm trying this out for a while. Like no, no, no. It's 2.5 years now. Carnivore is it. This isn't an experiment anymore. This is me living my life.
Yeah. I told this story before. My ex boyfriend, we were, I told him that I was experimenting with this carnivore diet. And like 8 or 9 months later, he's like, so how long is this experiment going to go on? Like, this is not an experiment anymore. But
Right.
I was kind of too afraid to like just come out and say it outright, So I'm like, oh, it's just an experiment. Like, it's no big deal. It's for a little while. It's safe because it's for a little while. But, after 8 or 9 months, it's no longer a little while. And yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. Like once you, if you find something that works and feels good,
Yeah, why would you
and
stop?
yeah, what's the logic in that? Like, no, I want to go back to eating junk food and feeling like crap and being tired. No, no,
Yeah,
you shouldn't want that. And that's what you're doing if you start making different choices.
Yeah. And I had to mourn the junk food, and even now if I have something go on, or, like all the same reasons that you want to emotionally eat and that you would go and eat chocolate or whatever, none of those things
Hmm.
have gone away. They're still there. So you're just left to deal with them. I don't know, like a sane
Yep.
adult. I don't know what that is. So I still get these, not cravings, but these like feelings like, oh, like, I wish there was something that I could just easily take this away with. Like, chocolate used to do it great. But I have to remind myself it didn't do it great. It caused a great deal of harm, and it didn't do anything with those feelings. They're still there, later on.
Hmm.
And I have to learn to deal with them without food at all. So
Yeah.
it's, I mean, so to be fair, I do mourn that on a carnivore diet, that it does require you to elevate as a human being, and to find new coping mechanisms for all the stresses of your life.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I really love about he was on the show a few weeks back, Rob Sivas, that he talks about sugar as an emotional coping mechanism, and that you have to find new ways of coping. Like I think I think in general we would have to mourn junk food. Most of us would. And like just because we like the taste, it's built for you to love the taste. It's built to be addictive. But also, yeah, we were using it for something. All of us were using sugar for something. It was a shortcut in life. And take that away, that might mean that as good as meat is, as much as meat takes care of you, you might have to change some of your life around. You might have to, yeah, like figure out new things. Maybe you got to start meditating or something. Maybe you got to take walks quietly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I decided, for one, I really do need to get more exercise. Not just not being out in the world. Before I used to take the subway a couple of times a day, so that guaranteed I went up and down a whole bunch of stairs. I walked, maybe a mile or two between getting places, but all of that's gone. And so now I have to recognize that it's not coming back, and I'm going to have to make like concerted effort to exercise. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I'm getting started with that. And that is potentially a way to manage stress as well. And I see Stella said, how long did it take? And I think she was referring to how long did it take before, like, I switched my mindset and really, became determined to eat this way for the rest of my life. And I would say, like, I think it took like a year and a half to, like, solidly have that in my head. I think even though I knew in my head that I wasn't experimenting, I think saying that I'm experimenting, anything you say, it like, it's becomes true. And so even saying it, even though there was most of me didn't believe it, there's still a little part of me that kind of did. So, if it became too hard to stick with carnivore, or there was something especially good looking, I might eat it. So that, I think it took a longer time to come away. So I think we should give ourselves grace. It does really, some things do take time. They just do.
Oh yeah, for me to spontaneously kind of stop smoking, stop alcohol, took about 2 years.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to just really feel like, oh, actually, I'm good. I don't need this anymore. It took a
Mhm.
while to get there.
Yeah. So Stella concurs that that's the part of carnivore that she hates, needing something to escape to. You are not the first person I have heard say that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it. And, and I think emotional eating, carbs and sugar drive a lot of the biology of why we eat and why we overeat. But emotional eating is its own thing, separate and apart from sugar. And I don't know if that is even something that we can get rid of, you know. I mean, you know, from birth, we're raised so that, you know, we're fed or given either the breast or the bottle when there's any kind of distress. So you know, that's something that we've learned from the get-go, and I don't know that goes away. Over through childhood and as early adults, we may learn other coping mechanisms so that we can, you know, feel comfortable going to those, but maybe we don't. And then we just keep going to food, alcohol, and drugs, which, you know, also work. I mean, with some side effects.
With a bunch of side effects.
Well, you know, yeah, with the worst one being death, but, you know.
A little death.
Or a lifetime in jail. Yeah.
Right.
All right, so Johnny G asks, how's the coffee abstinence going? Yeah, I haven't had coffee. Now I don't even remember how long it's been. Has it been like 6 weeks?
I feel like yes.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so no coffee.
Sleeping any different?
Yes, but not because of the coffee. Like, I'm just keeping weird hours. So now I'm sleeping like in 2 time periods. So early evening and then early morning. and then I'm up from 2 until 5 a.m.
I feel like somebody was just telling me about doing that.
Well, we did talk briefly about biphasic sleeping, which is kind of what that is.
Okay.
No, I don't want to be doing this, but this is just what's happening. So, there you go.
Okay.
Oh. So ZZ Captain says, everyone is on my diet. Still, it has meaning, and this is the first time I have told anyone about this. Anyone can record their daily intake with the weight diet, what I ate today. Weight is what I ate today. Oh, I haven't heard that. Interesting.
Me neither.
Yeah, but people make that. People make those videos all the time. And ZZ Captain is fine with more cholesterol. Excellent. Oh, and Bayet, thank you so much for the super chat. And thanks for all you do and showing how to give my 2 cents to those who ask about eating healthy and to those who don't. Stay strong. So I appreciate your $5.02.
Yeah, okay,
awesome.
Now that makes sense. I saw 502 and I said, that's a weird,
Yeah.
No one's done that.
Yeah. Oh, and Vance also says, ride my bike. Yeah, well, you know, I got the dog and I don't know. We got to figure that out. I'm not sure what to do. Let's see. And Stella says, that's really encouraging to hear. I'm 6 months this November and I'm getting better. Yeah. It takes time. And, you know, I wanted to say this is such a massive, massive change in the way that we are eating. You know, I feel like, you know, quite a few people, especially after I put out the video earlier this year about racism in the carnivore community, I had a lot of people writing like, oh, it's just food. Like, you know, get over yourself. And why are you talking about this? But you know, my feeling like food, you know, beyond sex, food is like the second thing that people think about all the time. So, you know, food is not just food. Food is, you know, it is almost the primary way that we impart our culture from one generation to the next. It is very much a part of how we communicate and interact with people. So when you change the way you eat, you know, you're actually changing your relationships with people. You know, for families where, you know, women talk about dieting, or where we get together and we cook together and we cook for each other, when you make a significant change, that's changing dramatically that relationship and that dynamic there. So food is actually a really big deal, and it means a lot to people. It's not a
Right.
little thing. So so when you're doing something, if you decide like you're not going to eat, I don't know, cruciferous vegetables anymore, like okay, nobody cares. But when you decide you're only going to eat from the animal kingdom, like that's a big change.
Yeah. And to say it's just food is it's weirdly dismissive because like you said, food is one of the main things we think about all the time. It's a thing that we're doing all the time, especially in standard diet. Like we're eating every hour, every 2 hours. We're constantly putting something into our face. And to think that that's just like, I guess that's why for me, this isn't just a thing you do. This is identity. And I don't
Hmm.
think identity is necessarily carnivore and you just decide that I'm carnivore. Like it doesn't become religion, not to me. Um,
Yeah.
like you don't persecute other people for doing something different and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that it has to become who you are because what it really is you're deciding I am healthy or I am a person who prioritizes health to the point that there are a lot of fun things that I could be doing that I know are generally harmful. I'm not going to do those things anymore. I'm going to minimize those things. Friends are going out for drinks. Maybe I'll catch y'all next time.
Hmm.
I could be smoking. I don't want to because I know that that increases insulin resistance and will is very likely to give me lung cancer. I don't want that in my life, so I'm not doing it. You're deciding to be a healthy person. That is your identity at that point.
Yeah. Exactly. And
So
you
it's really
have
not
to,
just food.
yeah. And you have to make it part of your identity because each one of these times that you're facing those choices, you have to make the choice to do something different, and it's really hard not to, to make that change, right? So
Yeah.
in the beginning, how did what did you have to do? I mean, did you stayed away from friends? You didn't go out. Like, was that hard or?
Oh no, that wasn't. So I was going out. Um, and this is the other part of it. I decided that I was going to be healthy. I did not decide that I was going to be dogmatic about it with myself.
Hmm.
So if I'm out with friends, I'm going to make a better choice, but not the best choice. Because at most restaurants, especially um, like at a bar or something, there is
Yeah.
no best choice.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drink less as opposed to drinking the same amount that I would. I'm going to get say, like a steak wrap and not eat most of the wrap. But I didn't want to draw attention to myself, so I wasn't just getting the wrap and then immediately opening that mug up and dumping all the meat out, scraping all that out, and then just eating
What
the
a
steak,
mess.
whatever inside of it. Yeah, because like I specifically remember one place saying, "Oh, we've got this ribeye steak wrap," and I'm thinking chunks of ribeye, forgetting that they'll shave the ribeye and
And it'll
still
be
call it
two
ribeye.
chunks, two pieces, and that's it. And it's all
Right.
rice and beans.
Well, this wasn't that because this was an American place. This was a black owned bar in Baltimore.
Hmm.
But so yeah, I didn't have to deal with that, but I did have to deal with all of this wrap around this delicious meat, and I just didn't eat most of the wrap. But I didn't want to be the weirdo who like gets a wrap and then says, "Oh yeah, I don't want that wrap at all." Scrape all the meat and good sauce and stuff out. So yeah, it was like I'm making good choices. I could be making better ones. I could just not eat at all, but that's not what I want to do because I have to make this sustainable. And then when I'm
Hmm.
at home, I'm making the best choices pretty much all the time.
Yeah. Well, last night I went out to a restaurant, and this was actually my first restaurant visit since, quarantine. So,
Wow.
yeah, I know, right? I mean, I've ordered out a couple of times, but this is like the first time I went to a restaurant. I did not. We still didn't go inside. We ate outside, but yeah. Well, I had the dog, and they had heaters out there and everything, but it was like a fancy Dominican place, and so I was kind of like, am I going to be able to find something? So I feel like I made the best choice possible. They had a chicharron. I'm sure we're probably deep fried in vegetable oil, but
Probably.
but they weren't breaded. So I got that, and I skipped the yuca that came with it. My friend, who is like not a carnivore, and really prefers chicken and lean meat, he gave me the crispy skin of the roast pernil that he got, and I'm just like, I don't understand you. Like, you would have left this; it would have gone in the garbage. Are you kidding? This is the very best part. Yeah.
People don't know any better.
Yeah. Yeah. So so I ate that, and it was delightful. But I actually went to the restaurant expecting not to be able to find anything, and I had in my bag some pork rinds, and I had, when I was out, I bought like some sliced chorizo, and I found a package of pancetta. So I had something that I could sort of cobble together and gnaw on while watching my friend eat. But I was delightfully surprised to find an entree that wasn't too expensive. The meat serving was, passable. I mean, the amount of it was passable. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. That I'm gonna skip ahead in the chat. Johnny G said restaurants seem redundant now. Yes, it's so frustrating. Like,
Yeah.
so I was out with friends Saturday, and we're at this like fancy place, and I'm looking at the menu, and there's like nothing that's appealing. So in Baltimore, at the very least, I can pretty much always get a crab cake, and it's gonna be good. And I was looking
Wait,
for
aren't crab cakes made with breadcrumbs?
sometimes, but the good ones are just the crab cake and maybe a little bit of the crab cake sauce stuff. Um, at least as far as I know. Yeah, I don't think you have to make them with breadcrumbs, but I know there are definitely some places that do. So, I paid like $25 for this little crab cake that was like that big, maybe.
Oh, 4 ounces, maybe.
Yeah, like, yeah, maybe five, six would be pushing it, and I was pissed. But it made it really easy to stay carnivore because they gave me that little crab cake. We just lost you.
I know. I'm
And
here.
okay, they gave me
Fixing
that
my
little crab
camera.
cake and a ton of green beans and some nasty bland mashed potatoes. So there was no temptation to do anything else. I'm just gonna eat that crab cake and be done, and then go home and be mad that I spent all that money. But
Yeah.
yeah, restaurants are always like, I could do better just eating at home nowadays.
Yeah. Are you there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so. I see myself at least.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, Seabliss says they don't have to be made with breadcrumbs. Okay, so that's decent. I figured. I figure the breadcrumbs are a way to stretch the crab cake, so it probably depends on where you are and if you're paying good money for the crab cake or not.
Huh.
And ooh, Stella paid 30 for a ribeye steak at Yard House. I was not happy eating out is so expensive now. Yeah. I feel like eating good steak. Yeah. I guess you mean now in terms of now that you're carnivore, eating out is expensive. Yes, it very much is. Trying to get a decent steak. And that was the other thing. Steaks are so expensive and unnecessarily so. And people don't know what good steak is. So this restaurant didn't even have ribeye. They only had filet mignon and a New York strip that was overpriced.
Yeah. I can imagine. Okay, my camera pooped out, and I don't want to cancel. So I'm going to have to switch to a different camera. Oh, so much worse. Yeah.
Bright 8A.
Yeah.
Bright and blurry.
So there we are.
And now we're switched.
Yeah. Oh, I think I can swap us around. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. Oh my God, technology.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you had
It's
a
not
backup.
one thing or another. Well, yeah, always a backup. So, let's see. Oh my God. So yeah, man, $30 for a crab cake. I guess that's Baltimore.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where you got the good stuff going on.
Right. Like this, and this was a good crab cake. They didn't use enough Old Bay, so the people I was with already had extra Old Bay, and I just poured some of that on it. But it was good. It was the good meat. It wasn't like that. I forget what it's called, but whatever the less expensive meat was, this was not that.
Okay. Hey, C Bliss, good to see you. So yeah, not using breadcrumbs. And C Bliss says the better crab cakes are broiled and use lump crab. Yeah. All right. There you go.
That's what this seemed to be.
And Stella says, yeah, now's Carnivore trying to get something good for YS? Yourself. Yeah. Yeah. And Seabliss's recommendation, order naked wings. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an idea. I don't think this place was fancy. I don't think they had wings.
Yeah. Wings are so beloved now, though. You even find them in fancy places. I mean, they call them something different, or...
Do they?
Yeah, I feel like, they'll say Cajun, winglets, or, they're available. They just use different words.
Winglets.
Yeah. I went to one place.
These are winglets.
They were Cajun or jerk. It was like a fusion place, and they were jerk, and they were so spicy. I mean, it was literally like eating fire. And I had to say to the waitress, like, I can't eat these. These are inedible. And so, they gave me another batch, and the other batch was just equally terrible. I was like, I'm just going to have to do something different. Johnny G so politely says 8A looks better in high definition. Is the new camera a potato? There you go. The other camera is the one that's built in the computer, and it always sucks. So Angie Life says always travel with Old Bay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And Seabliss says, she really likes fancy wings and whatnot. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like wings, there are some things that are so ubiquitous now that even when you're in a fancy restaurant, they're there. Maybe in a slightly different format, but they're still there.
Maybe that's why I didn't see them. Maybe they named them something weird.
Yeah. Flightless bird appendages. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Winglets really sounds like I could see that in a ton of restaurants.
Yeah. So what? The thing I guess I'm trying to get at for people is, how you switch from, how you get through that first couple of weeks or the first couple of months where, you're still craving and wanting and desiring other foods. And how do you get to the point of saying, I am a carnivore? I mean, for me, like, I had to say it. I had to say it all the time in my head, out loud, to people if I was going to, get into that discussion. Just like
Hmm.
when vegetarians say, I'm a veg, or, well, I mean, I don't want to be like sanctimonious about it, but when people, vegetarians or vegans, are like, I don't eat meat, I care about the environment, I care about this. Um, that's also a little bit of self, indoctrination. And so,
Yeah.
I was trying to find a way to do that for myself that wasn't, that wasn't too annoying. But yeah, like I am a carnivore. The human species, we became who we were on meat. It is, and I drew on my anthropological education to know that early humans or early hominids ate meat almost exclusively. We were carnivores always.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I do think that we have to, maybe depending on what your issues are, like what are the things that brought you to carnivore in the first place, or what are the things that stop you from going hard about it, like then maybe you do have to educate yourself more, because I can imagine that there are some people who are carnivores who are still thinking like, okay, so this is great. It's doing great for my body, but I'm killing the environment. And that stops them
Hmm.
from saying, I am a carnivore. It stops them from being as committed to it because they feel like, oh no, I'm not doing, um, I'm actually destroying the world in some way. So at
Hmm.
some point, I have to stop doing this. Or we as humans still have not figured out the right way to live that doesn't, the right way to eat that
Hmm.
doesn't destroy the earth. And that's just one example. But if you learn, if you, seek out the answers to those questions, you'll see that that's actually not a problem. And actually, we're doing better for the environment than any vegan is. Um,
Hmm.
so that may be part of it, is you have to think about what's stopping you from deciding that this is you,
Yeah.
and probably dispelling those myths.
Yeah. And actually, today in the interview that I had with Craig Emmerich, he was talking about how, there's so little glucose in our blood at any given time. It's the total amount in our body is about 1 teaspoon of sugar. And,
Hmm.
and I had heard that before, but I remember the first time I had heard it, I was kind of like, 1 teaspoon? Like, so how does that work when we have cake and soda? Like, how can
Right.
we just have 1 teaspoon? That seems like it won't work with these other foods that we eat. And then I realized, oh, it doesn't work with these other foods that we eat. Like, that doesn't work.
Hmm.
But, it, I believe that it took so long to get rid of this belief that there's nothing wrong with having sweets and sugar and candy, and that these are acceptable foods to eat. It took me so long to to understand that that's actually not true, and those foods are not treats. They are not food. First of all, I got to stop using that word.
Yeah.
Those edible plastics are not they're not
Hmm.
food.
Those
And
drugs.
right, right, exactly, they are drugs. So, it took a long time to get that out of my head, and it still is difficult.
Yeah. And yeah, that, I think that's another part of the learning that some people need. And I think I go back and forth on this because I think there's a ton of people who really don't want the science. They don't care about the science. And I think that's fine if you feel like it, if that's not what is ever affecting you or stopping your mental processes. Um, your But for, I think, a good number of us, it would be useful to know that, yeah, 4 grams of sugar, that's it for your whole, all your blood. And it probably has 4 grams in it already. So you're not topping off when you're eating cake or candy or something. you're just adding more than it can handle, and then it's going to push it into your fat cells.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. Like, yeah, I do wonder what is everyone's process of deciding that they will switch from I'm trying carnivore or I'm doing carnivore to I am carnivore. I know
Mm-hmm.
for me it was an experiment that I realized worked. Like really, really worked. Like I could just eat this way, I can feel good, I'm losing weight without trying, I'm gaining it seems to be I'm gaining muscle without trying.
Mm-hmm.
There's no downside. So why wouldn't I keep doing this?
Yeah.
And and the more I learn about it, the more I learn that, oh, this is good for the environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was attacking those those little niggling bits of doubt that you have in your head.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, really, honestly, the biggest part was this actually works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now we have a bunch of people here in the chat, so please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you can get notification every time we go live. I really appreciate that. And I see Johnny G says the vegan diet has a better PR man. Yeah. Yeah.
Much better. Yeah.
So that's why we are working to build up our community so that we can build up our PR for sure.
Yeah. And there's money in a vegan diet that I don't think will ever exist in carnivore.
You know, who's to know? Who's to say? Like, we can make our predictions about 2020. I mean, 2030. But, you know, I think that hopefully, you know, times will change and there will be more money and resources. But, you know, anyway, for now, we're going to have to be our own PR men for sure. Yeah. And it's a good PR man that can take someone who's becomes more aged and sicker looking and promote that to people as an indication of improved health.
Yeah.
So, but as
this is your health expert, this
right.
sickly looking Skeletor in the face looking person.
Yeah. So as we become more younger and healthier looking, you know, hopefully that will lead the way and do a lot to, you know, to improve our, you know, our positioning.
Yeah.
So, and Stella says since she hates veggies and carbs and they make her feel crappy and or fat, I'm carnivore by default. Yeah. Yeah.
And ZZ Captain, thank you. Showing some love to the shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how it carnivore by default. It makes a lot of sense.
I mean, if it weren't for chocolate and cake, I would have been a carnivore from childhood. It was weird. As a kid, I never liked bread. I didn't like... I liked pasta okay, but I didn't love it. I didn't, you know, even when I ate pizza, I never ate the crust. I didn't like bagels. Like, I just didn't like bread and rice and carby things, except for the bun that went on my hamburger and then the cake.
Right.
So, yeah.
And see, I liked... I didn't like the crust on pizza. And I really only liked bread as a vehicle for other things. So, like, bread with a lot of butter on it, great. But a plain piece of bread? Yuck, no, never. I don't care how much sugar is in there. Bread with butter and jelly, delicious. So, yeah, it was the sweet things and yeah, and always sweet fruit stuff. Like chocolate was pretty good, but I was a fruit sweet kid. So candy and Skittles, those were my two things. And then still, actually, yeah, cake and donuts too.
I always thought, why ruin chocolate with strawberries or raisinets? You're just ruining all the
Oh,
things.
oh
There's
yeah,
just
I
not
can't
flavors
stand
that go together.
that. To this day, my parents, my mom will make cinnamon rolls, and the ones with raisins, I always go like, you ruined a perfectly good
Yeah.
cinnamon roll by
Yeah.
putting these
Why?
chewy bits of gross in it.
Yeah. I just don't like fruit and candy. Like they're two different things. I don't want to pretend to be healthy. Carrot cake, zucchini bread, same deal. Like let's just not pretend. Let's just accept what we are doing and go
Right,
forward. Yeah.
right. Like if I'm gonna eat cake, I want it to be cake, not vegetable cake. That doesn't even sound right.
Right? I mean, and I know this is going to be scandalous, but I feel the same way about sweet potato pie. Like we already have the candied yams. Why are we having it again in pie? I don't know.
Now, see, yeah, that is sacrilegious. Sweet
I
potato pie
know,
is
I
still
know,
good.
I know. I said it was going to be a scandalous thing to say, but that's just how I feel. But I remember as a kid, like when I was like 10 or 11, muffins were just becoming popular. Like it was just becoming popular to go out for brunch and do stuff like that in New York. And so I remember saying to a friend, like, I love this whole muffin thing. It's like cake. I mean, I don't get the frosting, but still, it's like I get cake for breakfast.
Oh
And
yeah,
now I think back and it's like, how prescient. That's true. It was cake.
yeah,
It was cake. And it was like,
because
okay, because it's got blueberries in it.
or it's a muffin. No, 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 no. So there's cupcakes. This is something totally different. This is a muffin, and this muffin is like semi-healthy. And then you start eating it, and you're like, this tastes like 10% less sweet than a cake. It's just as like
Yeah.
moist and gooey and all these tons of flavors. And then now there's muffins with like freaking cream cheese through them and stuff, where
Yeah.
it's dessert for breakfast. And
Yeah.
breakfast has always been. I think that's why when a lot of people tell you they love dessert, what they mean is they love the sweet parts of dessert. They don't mean like I love bacon and eggs or
Yeah.
bacon, eggs, and grits. Like there are people who love that kind of breakfast. Like that's a good country breakfast. But most
Well,
of the
with a
time,
pancake.
well, yes, for a lot of people, but like country breakfast does not have a sweet thing with it.
Really?
Or a lot of
Isn't there
yeah, like
honey or molasses that's put on the biscuit?
oh well, yeah. Some people do that. Actually, I can't lie. I have
And
my great
I did
uncle.
have an ex that did that. Put it on the eggs, the grits, and the biscuit. And I was like, oh, you've
Oh
just ruined my keto breakfast. Like, what?
yeah, my great uncle. We were just talking about him this weekend. He would put Alaga syrup on literally everything, the entire plate,
Exactly.
and not just at breakfast, also dinner. So like
Oh,
fried fish, Alaga syrup all over
oh,
it.
oh. That's
So
so gross.
it's yeah, disgusting.
Oh my God.
He was a really cool person. Other than that, and
Man, and that Alaga syrup, that was a thing all over the South.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, that it'd be
Which
like
is,
so
and what was it? It
you
was
don't
just
like the taste of fish then?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
just
I think,
molasses.
when I saw that, with that X, like I was at that point, I was starting to eat, like pastured eggs and like goat cheese and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, you can't have any of this stuff. This is too expensive for you to waste like putting syrup on it. Oh man, that
Oh
was
yeah,
terrible. Yeah.
yeah. That sounds. I wholeheartedly support that decision. I'm not
Yeah.
wasting good food on people who are gonna pour syrup all over it. Like
Yeah.
that was kind of how I felt with one ex who loved to put steak sauce all over steaks. And yeah, I'd be pissed off because I'd be like, I bought good steak. This isn't just some regular old whatever that you have to
Yeah.
force your way through it with some A1 on it. This is good steak.
Yeah.
and you're going to ruin everything I did to it because it's not going to taste like anything but A1 by the time you're done with it.
Yeah. So I see Erica writes that she makes awesome pancakes and waffle with crushed pork rinds and eggs.
Mm,
So I feel like you're going to have to post that in the Facebook group. We got to see a picture of that. I'm
I think so.
curious. I don't think that I want to have it, but I definitely want to see it. And Chase says Alga syrup is heroin. Say no to drugs. Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's, I wonder if I could even eat it now. And also, Alga syrup now is not what it used to be.
Hmm.
It's not pure cane syrup anymore. Or at least, I don't know about Alga, but the kind that we had, it may have been Alga. But anyway, first ingredient was corn syrup.
Hmm.
It has a picture of sugar cane on the front. It's not even sugar cane syrup anymore.
Yeah.
It's corn syrup first and cane second.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So,
anyway, we're
yeah.
not eating that crap, period.
Yeah. And, you know, it's also good to think, I mean, this is a reminder of ourselves. Like when we talk about, well, let me see how to phrase this. You know, well, one, I think a lot of times as we try to figure out what is the healthy way to eat, the natural thing is to look back to previous generations to see what they ate and, you know, use that as a guide. But I feel like in America, we can't do that, especially as Black people. You know, if we look back to what was happening in slavery, they were eating hoe cakes that were made on a hoe covered in alga syrup, which is basically
Mm,
just energy and calories so that you can go back out and work. And
mm,
and in England, you know, they talk about during the Industrial Revolution, that's when they really started. They made like jam and other like sweet stuff really cheap and made that part of the tea or supper, you know, that snack time that came around 4 o'clock, and that was also partly to get people to work more because you give them that shot of energy and the shot of calories and they can keep going, and it was cheap enough for, you know, even you know, even the poorest of people to be able to get a little some. So, you know, so that's a reminder for us to, you know, just kind of think about that. Like, you know, I think it's hard for us to be able to look at our grandparents and say that's what was healthy because, you know, what they had accessible to them was limited by, you know, either slavery or poverty or, you know, maybe even living in the city, you know, like before there was a lot of refrigeration and supermarkets were ubiquitous, you know, what you might have available to you to eat might not be what is ideal.
mm. That makes sense.
Yeah. Um,
So, yeah, you really, I mean, you can reach back before the Industrial Revolution and find much better things. But if you really want to reach back to what's healthy, you got to go back before written history.
I think so. Or you at least have to go, yeah, I don't know. You got to go to a indigenous population that's not under duress.
Right. But even then, like they've still, I mean, they're going to be much better than standard American diet, but most of them have been affected by agriculture. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's going to be hard to find. I guess there's a few like actual untouched hunter gatherer societies, but they're not all over.
Yeah.
There's not a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Um, that's interesting. So I assume it was two, and says that sugar became a preservative. So you wanted to give the people fruit, and you needed extra sweetness to give them the energy to go back to work. So you make it, You add the
I
sugar.
don't think that was about giving people fruit. That's the only way to preserve fruit. I mean, because remember
Right.
in the 1800s, if you're bringing mango from or apricots, like there's no way to get that to England fresh.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So said
Mm-hmm.
sugar was a preservative. So the
Mm-hmm.
sugar was used to, you were using the fruit. I guess the sugar was twofold because it was adding energy to the fruit and also it's preserving the fruit
Mm-hmm.
to make this carby snack that people can eat that'll give them a rush of energy to go back to work.
Mm-hmm. So it became,
So,
it started as a thing, but it became a cultural institution, you know, that people continued on for
hmm.
to this day.
See, now I feel like we need to, well, not we, but somebody needs to do more about food as oppression.
I
Because
love that
that's what
title.
it is.
We are writing that book. Excuse me while I write a very important post-it note to we're writing that book, Food as Oppression. Because there's so many books about food as cultural expression, as about family, about community, but none about oppression.
Yeah, because they invented a
All
whole
right,
food
mark my
tradition.
words. In a couple of years, that book will be out.
It needs to be. Someone needs to do that. Like, a whole food tradition was started to make people go to work, to make crap that nobody needed, or to help people cope with going to work, to make crap nobody needed, to work in terrible conditions, all the horribleness of industrial life. And nobody would think now, like, that's what your Welch's grape is about.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, Johnny G says grains were the start of the Western diet. Sugar was quite expensive till 1900s. Yeah, so sugar, of course, back in the when the first piece of sweetened chocolate came to Europe in the what was it, the 1400s, then that was super expensive. But over time, it has gotten cheaper, and
Hmm.
comparatively speaking, by the 1900s, I mean, it was still expensive, but cheaper. But yeah, I think and it's interesting. Some people say that with the Western diet, like agriculture was in many places happening already, but you didn't have populations that were that sick. But the addition of seed vegetable oils and oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for, Crisco, like those early different kinds of fats, that was when those were added, was when a lot of people had a lot of problems, and it kind of continued on from there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I
but sugar
forget what
people went
Crisco.
crazy for. It just was limited as to how much you could get. Sorry, go ahead, Arian.
No, you're fine. I was trying to think of it. It always amazed me. The Crisco stood for, oh yeah, crystallized cottonseed oil. Like, we took,
Eat your T-shirt.
right, an industrial product that nobody had any business consuming. It was, or
Mm-hmm.
not even a product, a waste product, a byproduct,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
cotton seeds. And we somehow made that into an oil and called it vegetable oil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Ugh.
yeah. So let's start looking at food as oppression. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Chase says sugar blues is a thing to look up. I'm looking for it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, that and I also feel like learning stuff like that will also push you towards feeling like I you are carnivore because the other way is not a way that anybody should be. And it is like it's harmful to you. These things are harmful. And these things have been thrown on you from above.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah.
for your
Or
good,
they,
not because someone was benevolent.
yeah. So that is all the more reason why we have to make the decision that carnivore is our identity. And if it is, that means we protect not only our way of eating, but we protect all the pieces that lead up to it. So, the food supply, what happens to the animals that are, that we are going to be eating, how the food gets from there to, the city, an apartment in the city. All of those things now have to be safeguarded, and they are part of our identity as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
ZZ Captain says that is a little longer timeline than what I had heard for chocolate. Yeah, but I thought chocolate was brought back from the well, yeah, I guess it would not have been the 1400s. The 1500s is when chocolate would have made its way back to Europe. Um,
Oh yeah, if you're
and
thinking, was it
yeah,
1490
yeah,
92, right?
1492. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
Columbus sailed the ocean
1500s.
blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it did make its way back, and then
Hmm.
also tea and coffee, I guess, were coming in at around that time as well, and so that was another place that it was that sugar consumption was starting to go up to for that as well, and
Yep.
those were considered, those were big drugs as well.
I
Um,
mean, they're not wrong.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Carolyn asks, what causes her blood pressure to be so high on carnivore? That's actually surprising to me, especially if it's gone up on carnivore.
I think that is a hard question to answer without having more specific information.
Yeah.
So, we don't know what you're eating and what you're doing and what it was before and so on. I do some coaching, so if you wanted to reach out to me, we could talk. But I don't think we can answer a question like that on here. And of course, neither one of us are doctors. So,
This is also true. But I agree. I think it would take a lot more context to try to deal with a question like that.
hmm, yeah,
Because, yeah, I'm wondering, like, what are you eating? How much salt are you eating? What was your health status before going carnivore? How long have you been carnivore? Just how carnivore are you? Because a lot of people say they are, and then you find out that there's a bunch of other things going on too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's a
know a lot of times
loaded
when we say
question.
carnivore, people think what we mean. We eat meat. We're not, we're omnivores. So, yeah.
Right.
Um, okay, so Angie Life says commercial pressure to eat crappy carbs, refined oils is a form of oppression that made us sick worldwide and has extended with Big Food's influence over WHO and Lancet's pro-vegan 2020 publications. Agreed,
Yep.
100%. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thesis for a book.
yeah, yeah. So, to this end, let me plug myself and I will put in the link. But I made more t shirts and put them up at Redbubble so that, we have more t shirts that, declare our carnivore lifestyle. And I think it helps, for you to have something that you can see, like you can get a sticker or a notebook or something that just is a reminder that this is what you do. This is how you eat. This is who you are.
Hmm.
And thank you, Bayet, for the $5 super chat. Thank you. Food as oppression. Y'all better get your doctorate for that. I know. I was actually just thinking, like, gee, I should apply for grad school and do that. Like, I don't really want to go back to school, but I should.
Not the worst idea you've had, but you got a lot on your plate already.
I no, I'm never going back to school. I made that very clear when I left grad school last time. That's it. That's it. Not going back. But I think that is a really good book to write.
Yeah, I would love to see that book or that lecture series, whatever form it ends up taking.
Yeah. So Carolyn Simpson says, "Thank you so much. I started in October. How do I reach you?" So you can reach out to me on Instagram. I am at Black Carnivore, and just send me a message there, and I'll follow up with you and get you the links that you need.
Good stuff.
So yeah, but oh my gosh, yes, we've got to write this book. Maybe we can do it jointly because I can't write it all by myself. But you're pretty scientific, sciencey kind of guy. So
I can help. Yeah,
yeah,
I
surely
can
you
do
will.
that research.
And this will be and we can have Dr. Tony Hampton as our faculty advisor.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what school he's at. Maybe we can get a master's in public health there. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. It'll be the first from the Black Carnivore Press. Oh
my God,
why did I
it
say
just
this?
blew my mind. One more thing. Well, we will be doing self-publishing, so it will be Black Carnivore Press.
She is literally writing this down.
Yes. Yes, great ideas were born, and we're all here for it. And I hit the like button again, please. We've got a bunch
Which
of
also
people in here.
means-
Hit the like button.
All means it's documented, so you can't take the idea.
Man, you go ahead and take the idea. This is a tremendous amount of work. Yeah. Go ahead and take it. 3 years from now, you'll be finishing up that research.
Right.
But, ideas are ubiquitous. Great ideas are everywhere. Everybody has tons of great ideas. It's execution that really matters. So, yeah. But anyway, so, what was I going to say? I don't know. I guess I encourage you all to kind of, think about how you talk to yourself and talk about how, this way of eating and consider, really buckling down on making it your identity, not just something you do or some way that you eat.
Yeah, and I think that doesn't mean that it needs to be your whole identity. That would be weird, I think. To just be, I'm me, I work a job that I don't care about, and well, okay, what's interesting about you? I have one thing. I'm a carnivore. And that's it. Like that's not good. I don't think anybody needs to be that. But I do think that it should be a part of your identity because it should be a thing that you care about.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe think about what would make you care about, or what would make you care about it, or what's stopping you from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is, you only got one body as far as we know. I guess unless you believe in reincarnation, you only got one lifetime on this earth. And are you going to enjoy it? Are you going to live it to your best? Or are you going to waste it away?
Yeah, I mean, and that was really the question I had to ask myself, being as heavy as I was and as sick and tired, I had to ask, is this how I want to make it through my years? And the answer was no. No.
Yeah. Like a lot of people will say, oh, well, we're all going to die anyway. And if I'm going to die, I want to die doing the things that I love or eating what I like. And that's putting a coating of syrup on defeat. You're just saying, I don't care. I don't know what to do. Nothing's worked, because everyone who says that has tried something and it just
Mm-hmm.
hasn't worked for them. So then they give up and they say, all right, well, at least if I'm giving up, I'm going to eat cake every day because I love cake and it makes me feel a little better about being defeated. But as soon as they get that glimpse of something that works again, they're right back in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. G says I might head off too. God, I need a coffee. Pray for me.
No, you don't.
Johnny G,
No,
get off the coffee.
no, you don't need a coffee. You need to go to bed. If you're feeling tired, go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did get off the coffee, and it surprises me, to no end, because I didn't think that I would be able to not drink coffee.
Yeah, you were like a 6 cup a day girl, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about it. And I even
Right?
committed to doing it, and then I didn't do it for another 3 weeks.
Right? But then you did,
But then
and
I
you're still
did.
off it.
I'm
Good
still off of
stuff.
it. Yeah. And I really don't even think about it anymore. And some days, like, I don't drink anything until like lunchtime, because I get up, I go straight to the dog park, I put on a mask, so there's no worry
Hmm.
about breath and whatnot. So I got to remember. I got to remember to drink more in the morning, but I just don't even think about it
Why?
anymore.
Does it
I
feel
don't
like
know.
you're missing it?
Well, by noon, it's kind of like, oh man, I'm like so thirsty.
I feel like that's a good thing. Like to get to that point and to actually to just be drinking because your body is telling you it wants to drink instead
Mm-hmm.
of like preemptively drinking all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It sounds like a win to me.
Yeah.
Like on the days that I don't have coffee, I can easily go till 10, 11 o'clock not having drank anything.
Yeah. Well, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. You make me feel better.
You're welcome.
And thank you,
So what I'm here
Janae.
for.
She's very proud of me. So thank you.
Hmm. Caffeine wreaks havoc. Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
I don't remember if I talked about this here or not, but I've been thinking about going to weaker coffee. Like I'm already making half strength coffee.
Why not go to no coffee? I
Well,
mean, are you going
because
to get
I,
to the point where you put like a dropper full of coffee into the mug and then the rest is hot water?
right. So then I'm thinking, well, I can do decaf coffee, or there's the coffee that's half decaf, half regular. I could start doing that. I still like the taste of coffee. I don't want the caffeine. The caffeine does nothing good for me. I don't drink coffee to stay up or to get alert or any of that crap.
Yeah, it does give me an extra layer of anxiety. That's what caffeine does.
Mm,
And I think it worsens my skin.
mm. Yep, I'm gonna buy some decaf today. That's probably what I'm doing when I get off this.
Good. Excellent. Very proud of you. Yeah.
Coffee.
So, here we go. So we should probably wrap up shortly. But I
Yeah, it
think this
feels
is
like it.
Yeah, but I think we had a really good conversation about, how to look at this way of eating, because changing food is a big deal. Don't let people, try to poo-poo that or downplay it. Changing your food is a big deal. It does change your relation, or the dynamics between, your family members and friends. It does change things. Doesn't mean that's
Hmm.
necessarily bad. Maybe the changes are for the better, but it is a change, and some people are not excited about change. So you just kind of have to be ready for that. And you kind of have to be more committed to it in order to push through some of those things. And we do try to share some science and information, because Because that is, having knowledge is your best way of combating the pushback that you get about this diet. But it's not. I know not everybody wants to do that kind of research, but it kind of is important.
I feel like people are resistant to it. And I understand being resistant to, like, you don't want to read studies or you don't want to be on PubMed every day. But some people make videos that are the science, but in a really like uh, a really palatable format. It's high level enough that they're giving it to you without you needing to like understand biochemistry to get what they're saying. And yeah, I think that's helpful. I think that's you get the other side of it all the time. How many people have, every time you watch the news, there's something about antioxidants. You don't know what they do, but they're good. Like we could consume carnivore science in the same way, just to like, I don't know. I hear insulin's kind of bad, and meat's good for that. Meat lowers it a little bit. So I don't really understand, but sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. But that's, that when you're in that position, you can't defend the diet, and it can be hard when a whole bunch of people are mocking you or, really questioning your, your intelligence or your integrity. All of which, are things that have happened.
Right. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
these things will happen at some point, and you need to be strong enough in your decision for whatever reason that you're in whichever way makes you that strong in it.
Yeah. And, it could just be that you start, even if you don't start with the science, you just start by listing out the physical things, the physical improvements that you've seen. And don't just look at this number on the scale. That may be the last thing that you see, but you'll see inches dropping. You'll feel better. Your energy will be better. Your heartburn will go away. Your postnasal drip will go away. You won't be snoring. You'll be sleeping better. All of those are great outcomes from changing the way you eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that feeling better. Johnny G is talking about caffeine giving him anxiety. You are not the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we're going to be back on Thursday, but thank you all for being here tonight. This was a great conversation, and I hope it really provided some insight for, for some people here. And you heard it here. We're going to get this book to you. I don't know how soon. I don't know how long that'll be, but it's a great, great topic, and we're going to get that.
Be on the lookout. Way over the horizon. Be on the lookout.
Yeah. But, it's nice to have a project that you're going to work on. Yeah. So I'm really excited to bring that. But we'll be back on Thursday, and look out for the podcast that's going to go out this week with Anna Fogg, and next week we're going to have Craig Emmerich. Really excited about it. Yeah. And, if you've been doing carnivore for a while and you've seen some improvements, let me know. Come tell your story, because, you will be inspiring to other people who are looking to make that change. All right, guys. So we'll see you next time.
Bye.
All right. Bye.